So guys, so today I decided I didn't go riding today. We had some other things we had to take care of around the house. So I thought I'd do a quick little video on how I set up my helmet with my camera and my microphone. It's nothing special, and I think that by sharing this kind of information we can learn from each other and get some different ideas and maybe improve our setups. So the camera I use is the it'll focus. There we go. It's the Sony HDR AS15, and I have two of them, and one of them goes inside the helmet and one of them goes elsewhere on the bike. And at one point I even had to put a piece of tape on there with a number so I'd remember which one was which. So this is the camera. It shoots, it's nothing fancy. It shoots at 1080p at 60 frames a second. I got these really cheap too. The housing on the helmet that I use is it's waterproof. It was waterproof until I decided to mount it. The problem I was having with this, it's very similar to any other waterproof camera housing. You open it up right here. This pops up. There's an O-ring on here for water to prevent water ingress. Camera slides in, you put this back on, put it on the bike, and you're off to go. Now the problem I was having is this camera stays inside my house, but when I go outside, the temperature is different. And in the winter or in the cooler months, I've noticed that this cover right here would fog over. And so, I needed something to let air in and out of there, and I tried different things. I tried even putting one of those little silica gel packs that you get in different shipments of things to absorb the moisture. Did not help. So what I ended up doing is, if you can see on the bottom here, this is where the camera mounts. I don't know if you can see it, but if you look right inside these little holes here, okay, I took a drill and I drilled a hole, and they're at an angle because I couldn't drill straight. So right through the case there. There you go, you can see them right there. And I did it on both of them. And what that does, now it's on the back. I mean, it's on the bottom of the camera, so if it rains, I feel pretty safe. Plus, the holes are inside here, so they're, I'm not going to drop it in a puddle, but it's definitely rainproof. Unless the water drips down the side and somehow gets sucked up into the camera, which I don't foresee happening. So this is one of the waterproof cases I use. This is not the one I mount on the camera. So on the side of the camera, it's right here. And I really don't want to take it off. I have to get a screwdriver to take it off here, and I'll explain all of this here in 1 second. So the bottom of this camera, it has a little cover on it. You pop it open, you can get to all the charging ports, the HDMI, all the connections right here. And this is an external microphone port. Well, inside that waterproof case, you really can't get to it unless, and I wish I could remember name brands and where I bought all this stuff. This cable right here, where the microphone's connected to, I don't know if you can see that, it's a flat cable. And even the connector is sort of flat if you take the back of it off. So this actually is able to plug into the bottom of the camera and slide inside. Now there's another little shelf in here. Let me point that out. If you can see that little black sleeve, let me let the camera focus. See the little black sleeve that's inside there? The camera rides in on that. It is not inside of this one. I took it out so the camera will be out so the cable can connect. And in the back of there, I drilled yet another hole right here and ran the cable through and filled it with marine goop. Now it needs to be resealed again because it does have a little bit of slack, so the cable does move in and out of there. And I have the excess rolled up here, and this is just an extension, so it's I think it's either a 3.5 or a 5 millimeter connector on each end. So I had to find a barrel connector, which you see right there. So the microphone connects into one end right here, and then this extension plugs into the other end, and you just figured out a creative way to secure that. Mine actually just happens to slide right up under that connection, which is fine. And the problem we have with motovloggers is that the helmets are all curved. There's really not a perfect spot on this helmet for a camera because they weren't designed for it. With the GoPro setup I used to use with this camera, I could never get it straight. Because number one, this connector is already sitting on a curve, on a down curve, And in order to get the camera straight, I just couldn't bend it in far enough. But as you can see, this one works. But I had to add a piece of plastic to extend that out as well. I did that at work, just got a piece of ABS, cut it on the bandsaw, drilled a couple holes, got some 1/4 screws, and voila, there we go. The microphone is just ran up inside. It's tucked right here for now. I'm not sure where I want to move it. It's got the, as you see, it's got the foam on it. So even with that foam, it's still pretty noisy. So let's see if I can lower the camera here and zoom in. So here's the camera I use. Normally, you know, unfortunately, this camera is set up to where you either turn it on by pushing one of the forward or next or previous buttons. It'll turn the camera on, or you immediately start recording. Well, I normally just turn the camera on because I have a I have the wrist-worn remote for this camera right here, so I wear that and I can record and stop recording with it. But so I turn the camera on normally, and make sure you got a memory card in there, just a little word of advice. And see, I can plug the microphone right in there like that, and this camera slides right into the housing. You close up the waterproof front part, snap it shut, and you're ready to go. And I got that bug on the front from the last video. So anyway, that's how I run mine. And the microphone is ran, of course, this is probably about a 6-foot microphone cable. That's how I run mine. So this cable right here is probably about 6 feet long. I've got it wadded up, stuck inside the cheek pad. This is the Scorpion EXO AT950, I believe what model it is. So inside here, you notice there's not a hole, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a big divot here. This is really just a flap, and that's where you can put speakers, and they don't mash on your ears like some of the older helmets that weren't designed for it. This is the helmet the wife bought me. First modular helmet I've owned. Love it. I really do enjoy this helmet. You can look it up if you want to. Scorpion EXO AT950. So anyway, that's my microphone setup and my camera setup. It works for me. It's a little leaning right now, but the other way, but at least it's too far leaning to the left. I can always straighten it the other direction and it'd be almost perfect. The other thing, I had this in my helmet, but I took it out. I bought this Scalar Rider system. I think it's a Scalar Rider Cardo Duo Scalar Rider Q2. That's what it's called. And I have 2 of these because they came 2 in a pack. I don't remember how long ago I bought these. Probably close to 10 years. It still works fine. One thing, the battery in these died on me, and they're sealed inside. I was able to watch a YouTube video. You actually peel all this off. You get inside there and you take the battery out, and I think it's the first generation iPod battery. It's almost an exact perfect fit. So I desoldered the wires, soldered a new iPod battery on here, plug it up to the charger. Works like a charm every time. I took this off because it's just this microphone. As you can see, it would go on the side, so the microphone gets tucked up inside there, and because of being a modular helmet, it's just this is a pain in the butt. It's easier to install. I took it out, put it in, so I'm not worried about having to do it again. I have 2 of these, but you know, the technology, I don't know if this will connect to some of the newer systems, so at some point I'll go with Senna or whatever one of the more popular brands is, so if I'm out on a ride, so I can communicate with the people that might be riding with on any given day. So, alright, well that's it for my microphone / camera setup. As you notice, I did go with the Sony mounting systems. They're a lot larger size, they're a lot bigger than the GoPro. So this is your standard GoPro type of mount. And I have this because I have the clamp that goes with it, so you can clamp it on your handlebars, etc. Which is pretty cool. I just wanted to show you the difference in size. So that's your typical GoPro, and this is the slide that slides into that. And this is the one for the Sony. So as you can see, there's a considerable size difference. So I'm always piecemealing pieces and parts together to make it work. And as you can see, this completely doesn't work at all. So look at that. That's a big difference. But that is a little bit harder to find a spot on your camera or on your helmet to mount it, because you can see how small this would be if I had to get the adhesive on here. I could probably slide a little bit further as opposed to sliding this one somewhere between the lines. So anyway, that's it. Hope y'all having a good weekend, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Later.